So I want to give a huge thank you, a huge shout out this morning to all of you who are regular listeners, fans of the channel, of all the guys that I have on here that help out. This is, I'm just looking at this morning's numbers, looking at what's going on in the world in general, but specifically in the world of Tesla, and thinking it's a privilege to be able to chronicle all of this, to be part of a kind of super witness. It's super interesting, and we're on a wild ride, and I'm glad you're along on the ride with me. So let's take a look already this morning. The markets are acting very strange this morning in the face of really bad job numbers, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. In the meanwhile, Tesla is way up. Last time I checked, almost 13 points as they produce a roadmap to a full self-driving future. Now, keep in mind that there are many ways that this FSD is going to contribute to the bottom line. For one, more uptake. To the extent that FSD becomes more and more and more successful, something more and more people can see the benefit of, where it's truly operating in a way that they feel comfortable with, that means they're going to either subscribe to it or they're going to buy it outright. And that would be among the existing users, the people that already own a Tesla that are not currently have not uploaded in one way or the other the FSD, either through purchase or through subscription. Number two, more people are going to choose FSD when they purchase the car. They'll purchase FSD at the same time and or subscribe. Not and or subscribe. Number three, we'll see more profit coming through in the profit and loss, because right now we don't get 100% of the profit from those. I mean, you get the cash, but they don't get the actual profit dropping to the bottom line because the FSD was not complete. So as it becomes more and more complete, more of that profit will drop to the bottom line. And there's a bundle of it. There's a whole bunch of it that's been set aside that will drop all at once. And that could happen. Some of that could happen in the third quarter, and maybe almost all the rest of it in the fourth quarter. We'll see what happens. And then, of course, this is the big one. More cars will be purchased. This probably will start to impact in the fourth quarter, not the least of all because people are going to see these cars driving around in the parking lots with nobody in the driver's seat. And this is going to create another set of big halo effects like we saw with the Cybertruck. Okay, here's the roadmap. September 2024 is what we're expecting to see within this month. So we've already seen version 12.5.2 with 3 times improved miles between necessary interventions. Then version 12.5.2 on the AI3 computer, unified models for AI3 and AI4. Then actual smart summon, which is supposed to be coming out next week broadly. Then we got Cybertruck Auto Park, eye tracking with sunglasses, end-to-end network on the highway, and Cybertruck FSD. All of that within the month of September before we get to the big day, October 10. Now then in October, they're going to add unpark, park and reverse in FSD. Unpark, park, and reverse. Those 3 in FSD in the month of October. My guess is before October 10. And then version 13 with 6 times improved miles between necessary interventions. Version 13, aren't we going to skip 13? Anyway, we'll see what happens on that. And then in quarter 1 of 2025, FSD in Europe, pending regulatory approval, and FSD in China, pending regulatory approval. So that is when they expect the release into China and Europe. And, we don't know whether Europe and China will approve, but they seem to apparently think so. All right. So, of course, that announcement yesterday is certainly a big part of why we're seeing this huge increase this morning. We'll look at the real numbers in just a few seconds. All right. From CNBC. We're done with Tesla. So this is Randy Kirk. Like, subscribe, notify. Who do we got this morning? Cern. Yes, Cern will be around. And then, of course, we have Bradford Ferguson in the evening. Okay, CNBC. Private sector payrolls grew at the weakest pace in more than 3.5 years in August, providing yet another sign of deteriorating labor market, according to ADP. Companies hired just 99,000 workers for the month, less than the downwardly revised 111,000 in July, and below the Dow Jones estimate of 140,000. And why did all of the pundits think it was going to be 140,000? Because last month was only 114 or whatever. The number I think had been 114 was downwardly revised to 111. And so they're thinking, well, it'll pop back up this month. Well, not only did it not pop up, it went way, way down. August was the weakest month for job growth since January 2021, according to the data from the payroll processing firm. And it says the jobs market's downward drift brought us to a slower than normal hiring after 2 years of outsized growth, ADP chief economist Nella Richardson said. Nella? Anyway, the report corroborates multiple data points recently that show hiring has slowed considerably from its blistering pace following the COVID outbreak in early 2020. Job openings in July also touched their lowest point since January 21, according to the Labor Department report Wednesday. We talked about that yesterday. But then we've got outplacement firm Challenger, Gray, and Christmas who put out layoff reports, and they reported Thursday that this was the worst August for layoffs since 2009 and the slowest year for hiring since the firm started tracking the metric in 2005. Well, still, the ADP data showed that while hiring has slowed considerably, only a few sectors reported actual job losses. Professional and business services declined by 16,000. Manufacturing lost 8,000. Information services declining by 4,000. The latest Labor Department data also helped dispel fears of widespread layoffs, as initial claims this week for unemployment was just in the same range, 227,000, slightly below the consensus forecast at 229. So that was kind of a buffer about the rest of it, but we're beginning, of course, all of us to question these Labor Department statistics. Wages continued to rise, but continued to show an easing pace. But annual pay increases were still, for ADP, were still 4.8% for those who stayed on their job, about the same level as July. The total number of continuing weeks claimed for benefits on all programs for the week ending August 17 was 1.86 million. A decrease, so we have less people, so people not staying out of work as much as they were last week. So that was a decrease of 15,000. And and then in the second quarter of 2024, non-farm business sector productivity increased by 2.5%. That is a 0.2% upward revision of the previous number. So that's good news. We're seeing productivity being better than what was shown in the. So productivity is a quarterly report, and they do 2 revisions. This is the second revision, and they've updated that one to be 2.5. Then we have U.S. automobile sales coming in at an annual rate of 15.1 million last month. That is down from last month's estimate of 15.8 for the year. This is a big drop, but the market doesn't seem to be all that concerned. Well, okay. What I think might be happening right now is this is absolute confirmation of a 2.5. Well, tomorrow could change everything, but right now I would say we definitely are looking at 25 basis points a week from 2 weeks from yesterday, maybe even 50. A lot of people talking 50 basis points. This is what the market may be responding to. Okay, it's done now. Although tomorrow, again, when the big jobs report comes out, which the numbers, we can't believe them anyway. I don't know why people are waiting for tomorrow's job report, because they're not to be believed. The revisions are so massive. So I don't know. We'll see what happens tomorrow, but let's go ahead and take a look at where markets are right now. So right now, surprisingly, shockingly, we've got the NASDAQ up 144 points, the Dow down 40, S&P up 15. Now, Tesla might be a big part of why the NASDAQ is up, because Tesla's up $14.78 and rising. I mean, it's going like this. So right now we're, we've got all the Magnificent Seven up. Even NVIDIA, $2.36. You've got Amazon up. You've got Apple up strongly, $4. You've got the Cathie Woods all but one up, not strongly, weakly, barely, somewhat up. Okay, so let's look at the percentages. We've got the Dow actually improving, looking like it's going to go into the green, down 0.09%. NASDAQ up 0.91, almost a full percent. S&P up 0.28, and Tesla up 6.65%. And just continuing to move up, up, up. Look at 1465 now. Okay, let's go ahead and move over to the bonds. So the bonds are up. The bonds meaning, remember now, when I talk about bonds, I'm always talking about the yields. So the price of bonds right now this morning is up again with the yield dropping. It's an inverse relationship. So you've got the yield dropping 1.8 basis points to 3.75 on the 10-year. Now the 2-year not dropping as much, only down 0.6, which means that they are back into no. Okay, so we've got, yes. So we still have the reinversion taking place, 3.75 versus no, it's gone the other way now. 3.75 versus 3.76 for the 3.764 for the 2-year. So the inversion is now back in play. So we're moving back and forth in that inversion situation. The 2-month is actually down more than the other two at 3.7 basis points. That's starting at some point. That is going, so not investment advice, but at some point, the 2-month is going to be lower than the 10-year at some point. It might be a year from now, but at some point that's going to happen. Not investment advice. All right, let's take a look at oil. Oil was bouncing back a bit this morning. I think it just got too low. It's up 92 cents in both Texas Intermediate and Brent. That's 1.3% roughly on both. And 70 back over $70 at 70.11 for Texas Intermediate and 73.58 for Brent. We've got natural gas up 3.26% to 2.215, right in that sweet spot. You've got gold up 1770, so gold recovering today, back up to 2,543, getting very close to breaking through all-time highs again. Silver up strongly this morning, 2.83%, 29,365. Copper up 1.95 at $4.1575. Let's call it $4.16. I got to round that one off. They give you like 17 decimal points there. Okay, the dollar's up against, but barely, against both the yen and the euro, in both cases about 0.05%. You've got Bitcoin down 676 at 57,238. I'm gonna go out way out on a limb. I know nothing about Bitcoin. I'm gonna say that, as Larry always says, there are more sellers than buyers. But what I'm really gonna say is I think they've probably run out of new people. You know, you've got, for Bitcoin, you've got to have new blood. You've got to have new people that are taking it out of something else and putting into Bitcoin, which is an unusual asset class, okay? I think they've just run out of those folks. I know. Put the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. I just think that's what's going on. But I'm just, I'm just playing. I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to Bitcoin. That's just a general observation about all asset classes. Okay, back over to Tesla is now 1553, positive, and just continuing to go like that. How high will it go today? That's a very good question. But we will be back later today. Cern and I will be on at around 11-ish California time. Then we will have it's Bradford Ferguson. It's Thursday, so he'll be here for what appears to be a good news Thursday episode. We'll see what the markets finally react to all of this stuff all day long today. Oh, there was two more, at least. Oh, I forgot to get those other reports. I'm gonna click. Oh, I'll just report tonight. We'll talk about it tonight. The services reports, I didn't look those up. We have this the S&P services report, and but the market is still going up. So I'm going to guess that those were not horrible. That's a guess. I didn't look them up. Okay. And then yesterday, Scott Walter, if you didn't take a look at that, you definitely, it was a very, very, very important. If you're into robotics, it was a very important show. So there's the card right there to go check out our discussion about 1X, the very human-looking humanoid robot. That's all I got for you right now, except I'd love to have you joining Patreon. You know, I have a payroll. Most of my competitors in the space do not have a payroll. I spend a couple of $1,000s a month, on my people down in the Philippines. And so if you could help, it would be a great help. All right, that's all I got for you right now. It's been great talking to you.